Good evening. Or whatever it is, wherever you are. I want to try and figure out. Oh, interesting. These are 1-to-1 right now. This probably has to do with my sort of temporary selection rules here. Not doing sub-selection, this does seem a little bit degenerate, but... Alright, so I would like... Is there a convenient way to, like, select that, exactly that thing? I was thinking, what if we could click on it? But right now, click is jump. Other things we want to look at are... monuments, and we probably have that data. We have... I don't know if life published times are really interesting. Maybe the range to which we have data is interesting. It's actually a big driver of what the times on these are. I've been thinking about, like, what if we did, like, what if in here it would kind of snap the edge? Would you ever want to select on something else? And, like, if you didn't want to select exactly there, well, you can go into here and you can sub-select with greater precision. So, why did we lose that? Yeah, I still lost selection there. Is it because I went into another bar? I can go down. If I go up. Why is going up an issue? Oh, actually, I redid these. This is... It really shouldn't be window enter. But it should probably only be this subset of events. I guess index would be useful here. Timeline down. And then... window up. These should really be the only things that have any power to affect the drag status. Okay, so I actually went out and came back in. So this was 1. We left 2. Move, 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 move. Wait. Oh, maybe did a bunch of... Wait, are you blocking window moves? So that's getting both. Of course, the thing that's being rapidly updated here is getting redrawn by that. Okay, both. Oh, and then it stopped. Oh, no, yes, we're getting timeline moves, but not window moves. So we can go down. You're not being rapidly updated. What devilry is this? So, I mean, there is a source order to this. So you have the container for everything. So bar. Oh, some of them are technically being drawn over others. So it's when we move into an earlier one in the list. Oh, you know what? I turn off window events when drag status changes. So that definitely says to scrubbing. It says to dragging. We didn't see a window up. I don't think we had a window enter. Alright, what we are getting is timeline move fence. Where are you coming from? Scrubbing, dragging, released, released. So it has to be one of these. Oh, I missed a tag. Oh, was that our chunk enter? Well, that means we should have gotten another one, right? So were those like pent up events after we... Well, no, that means we discarded it and didn't change our state. Window up. Do I also use that for leave? On a mouse up event. Do we have to discard a junk event there too? Well, these are on a window, so why does it matter that it's an element before instead of an element after? Oh, well, got a bunch more stuff. There was no up this time. We went from dragging to released. I guess I have to tag the actual paths, because there's only 2 of them right now. Unless I'm missing one. Okay, that's window enters. This might be... Well, there's 2 different things. There's enter leave and there's like over blur or something. That's focus blur. Maybe I got those crossed up. So there's mouse enter, initially move in the element, mouse enter, mouse over sent until it is canceled. Sent to each element of the hierarchy. Sent to the deepest element and then bubbled until it is canceled by a handler or reaches the root. Better to send mouse enter events, but mouse enter events get to everybody. So at the JavaScript level, there's a target element that you can use to say, and I don't know how it wasn't the problem before. They can use, I did add a leave trigger. And I don't think that had bubble blocking. Nope, that's not it. I don't know if I have a good way to view the JavaScript event here. Because there's like source element and target element and stuff. All right, ScreenX client on topmost event target view. Right, there's mouse leave. Is there a general type of interface that has more attributes? So these are the only, like, specified attributes, then? Related target. Contained resources have, okay, target. Wait, is exiting? Oh, I guess it could be exiting. I just kind of need to examine the JavaScript event. I guess that could be browser dependent. Um, is it document? Every button. Maybe they'd have some notes on it. If the mouse pointer moved over the inner element, the handle would be triggered. Element it is bound to, not a descendant. And we're using mouse enter. Maybe? Is there like a 1 pixel spot where we're on window here? Because there's nothing else there? I might have to look for window leave events. In order to recognize a window enter, because it's just unreliable. Now wait a minute, how are we even doing that? Because when we enter, we're supposed to check our button status. So we're also getting garbage button data. Button 0. Well, I'm gonna have to figure out what's wrong with these. And it's gonna be weird. Okay, so this is just the missing message. Okay, now can we actually send it is the other question. Basically, well, it's just dot value, right? Oh, you were a thing that took a tagger. So decode.map. This might be a kind of useful thing. Oh wait, is this window up, not window released? Are we getting hit with both? Well, no, I did actually release. All right, we can actually see the event. Buttons. Default presented false. Explicit original target. Original target. Source element layout. Target layout. But we do have like original targets. But these might be browser specific stuff. Okay, well, we're in responsive mode. That's Is it just because responsive? This might be a Firefox bug. Because that was not a spurious event. I didn't get my junk enter either, I don't think. Of course, you were in a slightly different time period. So you're somewhere back around here. Nope, it appears to be a Firefox thing. Well, if it's a fix for Firefox, I guess we could use Firefox-specific events. Explicit original target. I already looked at you. I don't think you had it documented. Related target. Cursor just exited. So this is on leave or doesn't say. Doesn't say what events it's on. Target a single item. Yeah, use CSS. Item.toggle. This counts on the events to actually work. I guess I don't have this up anymore. Buttons. Secondary target. Button being pressed. You don't even document your... Maybe it's here. You're in properties. Original target layout. Explicit original target rect. So there's a recognition that it had something to do with this. 0, 0 width height. Oh, at 964, that's like the entire backing. This is our only mouse enter event. Explicit original target backing. Original targeting is the layout. Source element layout, target layout. Why do we not have button though? So this feels like it's a failure of mouse enter, that it's triggering on this thing, or entering this thing. And we're getting this. Well, I have this on all mouse enters right now. Oh, this is only while dragging. Oh, now you see, this could be anything that we end up on. We do actually get buttons, though. Related target HTML. That would be what we're looking for. Do you even have related target? Related target null. So I'll have to have a way to filter out events, which isn't well supported by this interface. I'd basically have to have I either have to pass a flag to my enter, or I have to have some sort of no-op message that can get sent instead. We do have a UI none. So right now you're the only one that's a problem. It's not going to be quite that simple though. So button pressed. Can we map the entire thing? Well, we've already mapped it onto Tagger is the issue, I guess. I guess we could map that again? Maybe? I'm not sure what your arguments are. You're going to be a decoder of some sort. What do you do? We have to... What code you as? Well, you're a nullable thing, so that's all we care about, actually. Oh, you know what? We could have the decode fail. Well, can we? Because null is still a JavaScript value, and this is basically a JavaScript value. I guess we could case off of the result if we did a kind of maybe type thing. A nullable value as a maybe, so we could then check the result of it. It'd have to be nullable value, I guess. Field maybe blah. Well, I guess we're gonna have to figure out if you do value, does it count nulls? Okay, so there is related target. We need to figure out what this means. So the ultimate result of this is this stuff. If we were doing a pipeline style, we could map it through. Okay, so here's what we can do. Maybe I actually want to pull this out somehow. And then have that be our value. If we get it, then it succeeded. Or we don't. Okay, we didn't get an event. Oh, wait, event null. So it will, we just didn't see it because it wasn't big. So that does decode as null. Now it's a JavaScript null. I guess. I might be able to compare that. What do I do with you? Decode, this depends on the value that we decoded. Oh, I probably could just do a maybe here, because, well, would maybe check fail? Would it just check if it succeeded or not? I guess that's another useful test. So we have a nullable thing. Into a maybe. Event.debug. Right, because we said it had a value, and this is a maybe value. Okay. What we wanted to do with this was just fail. So we're back to decode.map again. Or decode.end then. We could do this just to make sure we see it. And ideally, I mean, I actually could. Just do that. I don't know if I actually care about that value. And did fail need a reason here? Or did it just fail? Fail string. Right, I called that the name of the function. Related target, nothing. Okay, so that's this. So the nullable did give us a nice little maybe there. I guess this isn't all that much different from decoding and saying null, but we're guaranteed we get a value. So we actually don't care about the value of this. What we ultimately want to do is apply this as a filter to the entire process, just to make the decode fail. Could we do that as something like that? Well, that's the related. Can I have this? Well, it's going to either succeed or fail. Is there any way to test if a decode pipeline, well, it'll fail out if it gets there. We would be replacing the value in the pipeline, though. And I mean, this could just be something silly. Just so we have our related target decoder. Okay, so maybe one last little check. We should be getting, if we leave this as this, we should be getting something if we do this. HTML. So that's like the related target decoder. We also want to apply it as a kind of filter. Well, we should simply not get that now, right? It's kind of hard to tell if it doesn't really stick out. Let's trash that. Way to target nothing. That's this one. So it went through here and we got no enter event. Oh, that's a point. We want this. Okay, and then we went to our event. So this is internals because we can't actually print that out from Elm. And then you are actual event that throw it over to JavaScript. So I think this could be useful utility. We would want to do something. What would we want to do? I guess I could just map it. You're not a decoder, you're a tagger. No, it'd have to be and then. And we throw out the value if we get one. And then we could redo this. Don't care. And then it's a new decoder. So this doesn't really do anything. So if we go boop, we ought to get related target messages from the decoder running. Related target, nothing. Okay, so didn't pass. I guess I don't really need these moves now. It's the releases that we care about. And that passed. Yeah, moves especially. Related target, related target. I guess we did end up doing it twice then? But it didn't pass. That was weird. Maybe it triggered twice? And then that passed and ran it again. So then we would move this down to here. And you would go back to decode.value. And this is where we could maybe abstract this to like require related target. And I guess this is where I have to do a little bit of browser checking. And what do? You take another decoder, basically. And really, you're going to turn into just that. And then we construct this as perhaps this. Except we're not calling you right now. And maybe this would actually get rid of the junk enters too. We have window leave take, do a precursor to that. Wait, event. That was from event debug. Why is that triggering? Because we did the wrong one. Okay, related target, related target, related target. So that was all stuff that got blocked. That passed, gave us a real event. Okay, so event debug is a thing I might be able to reuse in the future. Debug.log. It could be written as always, but it's there. We should be done with you. We were checking on buttons. And the thing we forgot to check on, before taking all of that out, I think this, what I'm not seeing is my junk thing, so I think I could take all that that stuff out. I'm just going to touch model a little bit. Okay, so that would be the normal processing. Oop. Yes. Okay. Now we did block events that had certain properties, so okay, that's fine. Doesn't seem to affect you. Try to filter out spurious mouse enter events. All right, now, what were we actually thinking about? You were saying, what if we wanted to try, what if we did like snap to edge? And how much snap would be appropriate? It would really depend on the on-screen size, which isn't the thing we really deal with at the interaction level right now. I could mostly deal with either starts or ends. And I could apply that just as a little snap. And See how that feels? That would make it possible to select this stuff without really changing the function. And I think I do want to separate this from the drag items. Oh, that's right. We wanted a dragging state that was not the same, that was like non-committal. Which is going to be interesting with our data model because right now we've got one stack of these things. I guess it would just be a second selection, and then if you commit, then we do everything else. So we won't actually be previewing up here, which will eventually be good because we won't be having to redraw all of this stuff during the drag action. Does that have direct bearing on this? It's probably orthogonal. Data hit detection. Snap to edges. So that kind of pushes down that. Do we have, so this is going to be, this is, well, we have timeline screen to time. Everything goes through there. From grab to down to move, so it would always snap. Timeline drag. This, however, is a simple translation. Now we do have a float that is the coordinate, and that we kind of need to be dealing with the pixel level to say how close is close enough. The line has the width, and actually it has the data that it's showing. We have to care about what that data is, but we can convert it into a series of snap points at the price to make this entire thing a lot more expensive. Yeah, there's a singular line data. You're just start, right? Can I do this? Or is it that gonna is it gonna call that too much stuff? Okay. We got candidates. Now, I guess I could convert close enough in pixels to close enough in time. And then I wouldn't have to convert all of these. So what does that mean? So we have x divided by screen range. So that's a factor times the time range to int offset to the min. Make absolutely certain it's in range, and then convert it back to POSIX. Snap range. It's probably going to look a little bit like this. It's still going to have to be an int, because we're not going to want to deal with, you can't really do POSIX math. Which we could almost do as, well, there's still a multiplier in there somewhere. Range divided by screen range just gives us a factor. You're too float, you're too float. I guess this might be a little bit easier to logically follow in terms of what's going on. So we don't add that, we don't need to clamp it. However, if we're operating in time space, I do have to convert this first. I guess we would convert it to a millisecond value. So that's our base value. And I guess we would convert these to milliseconds. And then, I don't have a thing for this yet. What is this? This is, I mean, ideally this would sort of, it could be eject as soon as it finds one. I guess if we have got these really small ones, you technically want the best. We can say if any match. forget which one is supposed to be more efficient. 1, 2, 3. I think that would be it because it's going to do them pulling off the head order. So we have an initial state. We have a function. The function can be symmetric. This is going to be a, it's going to be an AB. No, B is the accumulator. And we start off with a, no, we have to actually, we could start off with that. The actual answer could get bumped, but we're still going to be comparing to our cursor position. Oh, this is, converting it to millis. And then doing it in time space. So this really comes down to our function here. So one of these is our last candidate, and one of these is our snap point. So if so it has to be within this range. Now I guess I could do all of it trying to find the closest one and then say, is the closest one within range? I mean, it technically saves us these range tests. The other test is if ms minus snap abs. Wait, do we have to? Abs isn't a hard function though. So if this snap is less than then change. So we have to do this. Well, we do this. Most of them aren't going to pass this test. If succeeds, we have to do this for each one that passes here, but probably not many. If we do this, we have to do this on all of them, and then we only have to do this once. Well, that's definitely once versus maybe a couple. I could also do this as a straight up filter pass and then a fold pass. I guess there's an intermediate list, but it should be a small list. And this is the part that folds. All right, so if the snap is no, this is comparing these. If that one's smaller, then we want snap. Else we want candidate. And this is kind of our final answer. Time.posix to millis. The argument is a list POSIX. Oh, do I have to list.map start? Oop. I might also have to parenthesize this. Depending on the operator's work. Yep. Okay, so either it's doing nothing, or our snap isn't wide enough. Because I think that means it's in screen space. So this seems to be doing nothing. So earlier we said that there definitely were snaps. Okay, so there's some in range. But none were a better fit than in range 1. That's what we want to see. Is this backwards, maybe? And we also have to get this. Okay, MS-23 in range result. What? Well, we have an extra wide range right now, so it's reasonable that there's multiple answers. But if they're in range, then they should be candidates. Oh, wait, the initial candidate is millisecond. Nothing's going to beat that. But that is also my default answer. If nothing is in range. So I guess I have to explicitly handle that. Okay, so that fold all over an empty list would definitely result in 0. Or I could explicitly handle empty list and fork it there. I could parenthesize this and make it candidate snaps. Now, technically, these all end up processed the same. Well, there's timeline blank. This hasn't really been a big deal. This has been a little bit of a big deal. Is that the function? There's length. Is empty. Then it's just that. Well, I could do so as a whole expression, but so that means there is an answer. Everything's going to be closer to 0. Is empty snaps. And we have a very wide snap range right now. Oh, there's a little hairline in there. Now I have to see what feels good. Can't even tell that's doing something. Oh, this might be technically be an end of a period. Because this will be the end of our current things. So we got the colors, or maybe this is just the default color of the control. Yeah, a little hairline in there. Did I get the revised range? Yeah, it feels like that was the old one. That's not even perceptible. Well, maybe a very tiny bit. Oh, right, that isn't a thing. We can do that. We can do that. That feels pretty good. What do I do about you, though? Because we only did starts. If I did ends, I'd have to like dedupe. Well, maybe ends aren't that big a deal. There's also going to affect these. I can kind of make it a little bit shaky, I guess. Or some of this is just how much stuff I have to do. Why? Why is that one changing? This might just be a glitch while re-rendering. If we cut down the amount of re-rendering, because there's that bar definitely doesn't need to redo, and the other bars we probably shouldn't be redoing. So that'll help a little bit with selecting those things. It might even be good enough to kind of avoid, to not deal with the, what does it mean to click on this thing and have that mean this area? If you need to get into this stuff, then see, are those spans or are those actual things? That's another thing I don't distinguish well. That has to get pretty wide before it switches over, I guess. Of course, that means you have to be pretty wide if you want to deal with this stuff, and once you're down here, then you're definitely into spans, so it's not as obvious. Which is, what if you wanted to get one of these small little things? Well, if we leave this interface there, then there's always that option. Of course, they're probably only one span. Although some of them might get broken down. Yeah, see, that one's split into two. That's selectable here. I might just have to use it a little bit to see how it feels. So we always have monuments, and I think we always have all monuments. I don't know how significant a thing that is. It's also going to be more edges we have to check against. I also don't know what kind of scale it's appropriate on. So maybe we just do it on all of them for now. That'll be points. Now, we haven't had to do a whole lot with monument data in here. Do I even... Server has the data. I don't know. Yeah, we don't currently have easy access for this. Oh, and are you even Elm data? Or did we just pass you on? Nope, you have an XY date. Oh, you have an end date. Well, for when they appeared, I guess you wouldn't care as much about the end dates. I was looking increasingly like maybe we should just kind of get the server within the context of this thing and then actually deal with stuff from there. Oh, this is actually kind of a bad one. Because this is going to be more like a thing that's remote data. Okay. Current arc. Right, the other data was going through the timeline itself. Why do we need current arc? Anyway. Oh, are you used? You're used in the year label. Because that is kind of timeline data, but it's not differentiated in any way. Okay, and you're probably going to have to come down here because all of these could potentially do this. And this is where we don't have anything comparable. Oh, I guess timeline could figure out which monuments are in range. That would be kind of relevant information. Data. Timeline, data, monuments. I could probably just do a list here. Because I don't think I'm ever going to care to show, like, loading status or anything on it. Type annotation on timeline says it should be maybe timeline. Oh, right. Which is a little bit annoying because we're going to have to edit this more. Okay. You... Probably not had to do this one before. R expands. So we're only going to care about dates here, because these are just going to be point events. Shoot. This would have been a better template. No, actually, do we care about end? No, we don't care about end. We're only going to check this thing. We're going to check it against both. Wait, date less than... I guess I could have organized that differently, but we were copying it down from a bunch of other stuff. Oh, right, because I was trying to get those two ends. Okay. Still. Oh. That means doing it twice. Right, we ended up using two slightly different names there. View. Time control, not timeline control. All right. Oh, arcs was a separate little thing. We do pass the line down here. That'll have the data. Which has not been pre-computed at all. So that was start ends. This is going to be, all we care about is date, unless we want, yeah, that'll be for interactive stuff. Okay, so we don't need start and end for this. T. We don't really do anything to color. Unless I pre-prepared. Yes. Which, we'll do this for now, just so we can see it. Does it have a default one? It is just border. Ooh, that's a lot of monuments, actually. They've been sparser of late. Huh. Now what I could do is I could actually tie that to this. If it gets to be too much. We probably actually, a gold color might be appropriate for that. Probably also do like a light gray. Yeah, because that's actually a bit much for most of these periods. When you get down to here, it's more, maybe, huh. Maybe that has to be a scale limited thing. And again, maybe you want to look into the Age of Monuments or something. Or maybe you want to go to server 7. Although, does that mostly show up as a... What? Oh, it's this thing changing the width. So we got some extra thing in here. I haven't been using this, for one. Oh, you can't normally do that, which is a thing we have to fix at some point. The monumenting. Might have to look at what it actually was. Yeah, because that's pretty ordinary. But they like all went up at once. It might actually still be considered current. Yeah. Yep, that's it. Unfortunately, the intensity of that isn't really visible there. So I actually think... Yeah, see, monuments are going to be visible by default here, but they're actually too much noise on this. So there's monuments. This might actually be more of a timeline options. Maybe I can even have that show up in both places. And then if we did a snap, if we did a snap here, that could get weird because it's like if it snapped to a monument, then we actually want to jump to it as well. Probably do need to get a color for you. Well, something. So the highlight might be about right. That's about 0.4. Yellow's red and green? And highlight here is 0.8. Now, none of these are looking at the actual monument color, which might be a thing we want to do. The actual bell color. No, here we go. Or maybe we actually want to call this like gold. Oh, no. Okay, actually we should have that as favicon work. All right, so this is okay. So that's what we're using for the fractions. We want something that's in the neighborhood of like that 0.8. Okay, so this is a very red gold. 0.8 on one dimension. That's just about 0.8, and then you're about 0.1. Well, it's the same as we were looking at before. I mean, actually, very little of it is like particularly dark. And that actually is 0. Ooh. Yeah, that doesn't give quite the right impression. That's fine. I mean, I see how there's a reddish tint here, but 747, that's still gonna, It's all very reddish. One of those things you don't see until you see, and then it's just there. Well, maybe we have to tap down the red part a little bit. That gives vaguely a gold thing. It still dominates all the other information though. I could do this as a thing where it's like at span level we show it, and other levels we don't. Even just leaving out of this bottom bar would help somewhat. And that's actually super easy to do as a start. We can mostly go grab that from below. And if we want to look at all the monuments, you do that. But even then in the wide things, it's pretty noisy. All right, so the blockage there is kind of a bigger deal than like being able to select them. So until we have more things for a group, we can put it under monuments. Or in model, show only. It's going to default to false, which means no one will even know it exists, but I think I'm poking around in the options. Unless I do a thing like this for what's visible layers. Oh, we still have, yeah, I'm not going to be able to show that. Or notes. Truncate, world name in header. Okay, so view. Then we have to go handle it. Did I do show? Monuments on timeline. Oh, on timeline, probably. So this is monument options. So this is this entire group. So this is just going to get extended. Monuments equal if model dot monuments on timeline and if you've got that option, maybe you actually care about it here. Your indentation different. I don't have anything else that's multiple checkboxes like that, but I feel like there should be less padding here. I didn't change the event. Or it's changing the wrong thing. Oh, because it was sending a command. Padding 10. So this is padding all around. That's probably like affecting the inset too. Or not? Oh, maybe it's the label. No. It might come down to something in the subsection control. Okay, so yes, it is the combination. But that's affecting our input here. So that's internal spacing. Oh, that was only one of them. But this... Okay, and then you were padding 6. Which is our spacing to that, I think. And, okay, and the spacing to that. No. column spacing 10. Which is going to mess everything up. Okay, you look better. Probably affecting that. Oh, also that's... Well, I don't know what I did to you. But this looks too close. Right, that's spacing, not padding. These are like really tight. I probably have to just do a padding each on the checkboxes. Or maybe I need to go through and add padding to this stuff instead of... Well, yeah, that's spacing. Yeah, I just don't want padding. You. Oh, I need these things. I want these things to be full bleed and then these things to be inset. That's the shtick. Is this actually 0 or do we have to get super fancy with this? Right. That still feels kind of spaced out. Well, you're a radio button, so you're necessarily different. All right, and so we have monuments. We have a checkbox. Adding them as snap points wouldn't be too hard. Having them as snap points where you jump to the location will be a bit more challenging. And if I do that, then it's not simply throwing them into the pool because we actually have to care that it landed on that specific thing. And then, well, that's probably good enough for tonight. I don't know if I want to dive into the snap logic there. That's what I'm usually on, Mondays as I feel like it. I have a tooth out later this week, so probably not end of the week for anything. Thanks for the support from all subscribers, voluntary and otherwise. We'll see how I end up feeling this weekend, if I want to do any little extra sessions on this or something else. Good night.